Hi, my name is Katie Scott, and I've gone to Wilderness Trail almost every year since 2011. Saying that trail feels like a home to me is definitely an understatement. I've had my closest encounters with God, my biggest revelations, and a lot of self-reflections because of my time at Trail. I've been pondering what I want to talk about since I was asked to record this video because spending almost a decade at such an influential place has left me with more memories and lessons than I could possibly tell in a short sitting. I've been blessed to hike with my best friends, and I've also been blessed to hike with individuals that I did not have the greatest feelings towards, but both experiences have pushed me in different and meaningful ways. I honestly believe that someone has to be extremely intentional to not take something deep and meaningful away from everything that happens at Trail. In this video, I want to share my experiences with trusting the process and letting go of anxiety. Definitely easier said than done, by the way. As anyone who has been in a difficult position or unsure of what to do, the last thing you want to hear is just trust the process. But for those of us that have been to Trail, it is just as annoying to hear, but it still warms a piece of you. If you do not know me, I am a very calculated person. I have a planner for my planner and also checklists for both of my planners. One of my biggest downfalls is how much I look into the future because I get stuck thinking and planning, and suddenly the present's in the past. On my very first hike, though, I was the most optimistic, excited kid in the group, and I made sure to share that energy with everyone as often as I could, even if it was slightly annoying. To them, at least. When we reached our campsite for the night, there was a thru hiker, and I saw that he had a phone. Just because I was curious, I asked him what time it was. Before this random man could respond, almost everyone in my group screamed, "No!" And then they followed it with, "Trust the process!" This man still told me the time, and for some reason did not chat with us much for the rest of the night. But after my group told me why they had yelled at me and this innocent man, I understood why it's so important to really embrace yourself in this mantra. As much as we would all like to, we do not have the ability to control everything that happens in our life. Shocker, I know. It does not matter how far you've walked or how much further you have, because you're still going to get there. And instead of focusing on the things out of your control, you could be focusing on the things that you can, like talking to people that are around you or spending time with God. While everything feels easier to do and practice while you're at Trail, I push myself to embody trusting the process and to maintain this mindset whenever unexpected curves come my way. Since going to college and now starting grad school, I have felt more and more pressure to make a decision on a career and to have everything figured out when I barely know what I want to have for dinner each night. When I'm at Trail, I've always felt so close to God, and I often misinterpret this closeness with connectedness. Even though it would be super lit to know God's plans and what God is thinking, I don't really have a clue. There was one summer where I felt that God was calling me to be a youth director for a church. I felt so confident in this that I began working very closely with a local youth group as a youth intern, and I loved every minute of it. After an interview to be a youth director for that church, and I didn't get hired, I had a lot of questions and doubts. I was so sure that I was doing what God had guided me towards. But there I was, jobless and very confused. Looking back on it, that time that I spent with the youth group as a volunteer brought me so many amazing relationships and experiences, and I'm so thankful for. And it made me really see the passion that I have working with teenagers. And that is what's guiding me towards my future career in counseling. Uncertainty definitely brings me a lot of anxiety. And the idea of just trusting the process and knowing that God is the best interest for you is really difficult for me. Trail continually reminds me that there is peace in the unknown. The outdoor chapel is very symbolic for me because I have been there with my own doubts. I have been there with friends working through very real and intense problems. And I've also been there with my best friends, just sitting in silence. My advice for anyone that has been to Trail and knows what I'm talking about is to find a place in your life that gives you that same peace that you can go to every day. Give yourself grace in the unknown and surrender yourself to the idea of trusting the process, even if you misinterpret God's calling at first.